shot in the face, losing an eye, a hand, surviving plane crashes. Sir Adrian Carton de Wiart was a warrior who refused to die. His story of survival across 2 world wars is almost beyond belief. Meet the real-life, indestructible hero of the battlefield. Hello, and welcome to the channel. Today we will meet the man they called Mr. Indestructible, Adrian Carton de Wiart. Viewer discretion is advised for this video, as some of this video may be offensive or disturbing. I, the narrator, in no way support or condone the actions of the subjects featured. Adrian Carton de Wiart was born in Brussels, Belgium. On January 6, 1880, his father was an army officer, which led young Adrian to attend military school. He was commissioned as an officer at the age of 20 and served in the Congo and Madagascar. During this time, he picked up the nickname Mr. Indestructible, due to his ability to survive any situation. During his time in Africa, he learned to fly and was involved in several plane crashes, but survived all of them. It was here that he also shot an elephant in half with a 37mm shell. This was not the only time Adrian would cheat death. When World War I broke out in 1914, Carton de Wiart was in Belgium and immediately joined the fight against Germany. He fought bravely, flying back and forth between Britain and Belgium in a small aircraft, dropping bombs on German troops. One day while taking off, Adrian's aircraft caught fire. Once again, Carton de Wiart managed to parachute out just in the nick of time. In 1915, Adrian had risen to the rank of major. On one mission, he was in the cockpit of a 2-seater plane with another pilot named Frederick William Reg. While they were flying over enemy territory, they were approached by 4 Fokker D-7s. These planes opened fire on them, and one bullet hit Carton de Wiart right in the face. The bullet tore through his entire face, ripping out his left eye and part of his brain. Somehow he managed to keep control of the plane and land it. Although severely injured, Adrian requested to be returned to the front lines. When his commander heard this, he replied, "You are unfit for duty, Major Carton de Wiart. Go home and stay there." Adrian knew that if he went home, he would most likely be sent to a hospital and recover there. So he ignored his commander's orders and stole a lorry to drive himself back to the front. The next day, Adrian met up with a friend from university, who was now working as a doctor. He took one look at Adrian's face and told him, "You are going back to England whether you like it or not." Despite the injury to his face and brain, Carton de Wiart was determined to continue fighting the Germans. But his medical team had other plans for him. After examining him, they found that he was suffering from double vision and severe headaches. They fitted him with a glass eye and sent him back to the front lines. Upon his return, Carton de Wiart was given command of No. 80 Squadron RAF. He trained new pilots and sent them off on missions. Those who survived would often return to the squadron with stories of Adrian, the man they had heard rumors about, the man who could not be killed. One night, while Adrian was flying back to base after performing a mission, his plane was hit by anti-aircraft fire. Once again, he managed to bail out before the explosion. As he descended toward the ground, he saw a field below him and aimed his chute to land there. Upon landing, he looked around and realized that he had landed right in the middle of a German encampment. Adrian was quickly surrounded by German soldiers and taken before their officer. The German officer asked him, "Why did you come here?" And Adrian replied, "I came because I was told to." The officer then asked where his base was and what aircraft he had flown, but Adrian refused to tell him anything. The Germans then tied him up and threw him in a nearby river. Soon he was found by peasants who took him to the nearest jail. After 5 days, Adrian was transferred to a prison camp near Nuremberg. He spent 3 months here before being transferred to another camp in Bavaria. The conditions in these camps were awful. The food was barely edible and many prisoners died. Adrian was lucky enough to survive both camps. Once he was moved to a POW camp in Colditz, Adrian was able to smuggle out a letter to his family informing them of his capture. The British learned of his capture and immediately began a prisoner exchange. However, the Germans did not want to give Adrian up. When his family received his letter, they were so shocked that someone could survive being shot in the face and still be alive. On Christmas Eve in 1916, Adrian was exchanged for a German airship captain. When he arrived back in England, he was interviewed about his time in German captivity. Said, "From my experience in Germany, I think a German victory is quite impossible. Their whole system is rotten. In late 1917, Adrian was given command of the 2nd Battalion, London Scottish. In March 1918, Adrian and his men went to the front. Things were chaotic when they arrived. The Germans had launched the spring offensive, and the British were in full retreat. Adrian and his men were ordered to stop the Germans at all costs. They managed to hold their ground, and the Germans were forced to retreat. Adrian Esmond nicknamed him Old Man River because he always seemed to bounce back whenever they thought he was going to die. In September 1918, Adrian was leading a group of soldiers on an attack. When he and his men came under heavy machine gun fire, the bullets were coming from a pillbox protected by barbed wire. Adrian's men had suffered heavy casualties, and he was getting low on ammunition. He decided to charge the pillbox. As he ran toward the structure, a bullet hit him in the chest. As he fell to the ground, he reached down to pull the pin from the grenade he was carrying, but his fingers were too stiff to do so. He managed to pull the pin and chuck the grenade into the pillbox. It exploded and destroyed the structure. Adrian's men charged in and wiped out the rest of the Germans. On October 1st, 1918, Adrian's life would change forever. He was leading a group of soldiers in an attack on the Hindenburg Line when he was hit by another bullet. This bullet hit him in the forearm, severing an artery. Blood was gushing out of the wound, and Adrian could feel his life slipping away. His men rushed him to the medics, but they could not save his hand. Doctors were forced to amputate his entire arm above the elbow. Although he had lost his hand, Adrian insisted on returning to the front lines. This time, his commanders listened and ordered him to take a long leave. In December 1918, World War I ended. Adrian was sent back to England to recuperate. Soon after, he was back in action, this time flying fighter planes. During the Battle of Britain, Adrian was in charge of training new pilots. He continued to serve in this role until he was too old to continue flying. He then became a liaison officer in Northwest Europe. In 1943, he was promoted to Air Commodore and given command of a group of reconnaissance units. His job was to photograph German positions and relay the information back to the British. He flew back and forth between Britain and France until 1945. On May 8, 1945, Adolf Hitler was dead. Germany had surrendered, and World War II was over. After serving in both World Wars, Adrian finally retired from active duty. He lived to the ripe age of 78. He died on August 2, 1956, due to natural causes. Adrian was a true hero of the battlefield. He survived multiple plane crashes, being shot in the face, losing an eye and a hand, as well as being held captive by the Germans. Now it's time to make your voice heard. Comment below and let me know what you think of Adrian Carton de Wiart, the indestructible soldier. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.